Apple, Google, Microsoft, what do they have in common? All of them started in a garage. But do you know about a company from India which was started in a garage, is 100+ years firm now, and is one of the dominant organization in their sector? I'm talking about a story full of innovation, full of character, full of challenges, and how these founders navigated these challenges for so many years. It was the year 1942. During the World War II, when British has imposed a ban on import of paints in India. That's when 4 founders came together. Champaklal Chokshi, Chimanlal Chokshi, Suryakant Dani, and Arvind Vakil. This company was founded in the adverse situations. During World War II, when British imposed a ban on import of paints, there was a void in India. People in villages, in cities, were in search of a company or someone who can provide paints for so many different uses. These 4 founders, they saw an opportunity in the adverse times. They looked at the clear void where they can introduce their product. Now here comes strategy. They didn't go in a head-on collision with the competitors, which were largely foreign competitors. They looked at the pockets where these foreign products were not accessible. This is a story of a company which actually started from rural India. They built their initial product for villages, rural India, and small towns, where the foreign company products were not accessible. And all that we talked today about taking feedback from customer, reaching out to customer, that's what they did. They went from door to door, talking to customers, trying to understand what they need, and introduced a product which is very similar to what they needed. We talk about MVP, we talk about agile way of building a product. This is for the first time when we witnessed that in India. The villagers, the small town people used to purchase colors on festival days. For Pongal, for Baikola, they used to buy colors in small packets. So the first thing they did was an innovation around the product packaging, where they started introducing the colors in small packets. So this continued from 1942 to 1970. Real game changer in the story of Asian Paints happened in 1970. When Ashwin Dani, son of Suryakant Dani, who was one of the founders, and Mr. Champaklal Chokshi, came up with the idea of embracing technology. They bought the first supercomputer in 1970. Now this was the idea which was unheard of. Even the IITs, ISRO didn't have computer at that time. So Asian Paints bought a supercomputer. And how this supercomputer was used? They started analyzing the sales data from across the country and tried forecasting the demand for the next week, next month, next year. Today when we talk about forecasting demand, it seems like a very usual thing. But think about 1970s. They did it for the first time. That's what I say when I say that there is a moat which can be created around the business using technology. That was one of those early moat which was created around Asian Paints. They sorted their distribution channel completely using a supercomputer. And how it impacted? They moved from wholesaler-driven model to direct-to-distribution model. So when we talk about Honda, Toyota today, we talk about they introduced a concept of just-in-time. But our own Indian firm actually brought in the model which we call today by the name direct-to-dealer. So this eliminated wholesaler from the entire chain. And they went directly to a dealer. And because they have a forecasted data around the demand, they started reaching out to the after dealer and made sure that the inventory of Asian Paints is always replenished on time. Then came the year from 80s to 90s, when Asian Paints started focusing on brand building. They started focusing on consumer, customer. They introduced a theme of customer centricity. Some of you must be aware of Gattu, the mascot of Asian Paints, which was introduced by legendary R.K. Lakshman. That Gattu became a household name and a symbol of trust. Those are the same years when Asian Paints came up with Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai campaign. And that's where they started expanding across the country. They introduced products like washable distemper, they introduced different colors. All that was happening around 80s to 90s. And mind you, those were the days when they started becoming a dominant player across the paint sector. So by 90s to 2000, Asian Paints had 80 to 85% of market share in the paint industry. You could imagine the kind of brand which was created, that the next best brand in the paints industry was hardly 10 to 12% of the overall industry. That's what Asian Paints did. So when we talk today about Apple, Microsoft, Google, we talk about Honda, Toyota, let's not forget some of the Indian gem businesses which were created in that era and still relevant after 100 years. Now we talk about GE being a great company, still there after 100 years of existence. We should not forget about Indian gems which were created in the troubled times and we still use those products. So this is a series which we are doing for Indian businesses by the name Indian Business Saga, where we talk about few of the Indian businesses which were created in India and are now selling to the world. So this was our first episode in the series. We'll keep on bringing more such businesses, more such stories as we go forward. If you like this video, do share it with your friends. And if you want us to create a video around any business, do write that in comments.